Today's episode is a love letter to people who are shaping Central New York, sometimes in quiet but always powerful ways. I'm Melanie Littlejohn, and welcome to Sincerely CNY. I am so excited about this podcast, and I'm so excited that we're capturing the voices of people who are transforming and driving change right here in our backyard and in a place we call home. When we decided to do this podcast, we wanted to elevate people who we might not always know or get a chance to hear from. When we think about philanthropy and the work we do here at the Central New York Community Foundation, and we think about the message around philanthropy, and philanthropy is about giving to others, we have countless examples that come from not only our donors, but community partners. But we really wanted to zoom in right now on the voices that everyone might not always hear from. And we wanted to talk to you about how they are shaping the world, how they are leaning into philanthropy, and how they are helping inspire all of us to do good, to do good, to help shape communities, to do good, to help sow into another human being, to do good for the sake of just doing good. So, as we begin this conversation today, I am beyond thrilled. I am beyond thrilled of the people you're going to meet, the people you're going to hear from, and I guarantee you it will be the people who inspire you to do more. My first guest, and I am so thrilled about having this conversation with Miss Hassina Adams. Let me tell you about Hassina. Today's guest is a community leader and a public servant who serves as clerk of the Onondaga County Legislature. A graduate of Onondaga Community College and of Syracuse University's Maxwell School, she has built her career at the intersection of public service, advocacy, and community leadership. Through her work and board service, she is dedicated to building pathways for others, particularly immigrant and refugee communities, to find stability, opportunity, and a sense of belonging in the places they call home. Please welcome our very first guest, Hassina Adams.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Hassina.
Thank you.
You know, you have a powerful spirit, a powerful aura. Um, I have seen you talk about your journey on a couple of different occasions. And every time I've heard you talk about who is Hassina Adams and what shaped her, I am steadied on my feet. My heart grows 10 times the size. And you inspire me to want to do more. So, can you share your story and what shaped who you are and what you do?
Thank you. And I am honored, by your remarks. So I am a community advocate and public servant. Originally, from South Africa. I grew up in South Africa, but I was born in Uganda. My family fled political persecution in Uganda and sought asylum in South Africa. And so I spent, a lot of my formative years there learning about, the apartheid struggle, collective action and how grassroots activism really helps to empower communities. A lot of that has, intersected, the work that I do in the community. Um, but a lot of who I am today is also shaped by my mom. I was raised by a single woman who struggled and strived for her kids. Her wish was always to see us graduate, school and advance our educational learnings because she was not given that opportunity, unfortunately, coming from a poor background. And so she would really instill in us a passion for learning um, and and giving back. Right, you don't just reap the rewards of all these amazing privileges of being able to go to school and expand your horizons, but also give back to those who unfortunately don't have the same resources, privileges, and opportunities. And seeing her sort of live these words
Mhm.
also inspired me because I would, see her take food from our house, even though we didn't have much, and give it to our neighbors. I would see her take in strangers because they had nowhere else to go. I would also see her come to school and, share our home meals with kids in class. And growing up in that environment just allowed me to see, like, yes, we didn't have much, but the little we did have always went a long way. And withholding, was just, I don't know, never in our minds. It's always give and you'll receive more. And that's how I live my life now. I try to give as much as I can because I know that by empowering those around me, I help to uplift the community that helped raise me. And kind of tying all this in, coming, here to the US, my mom had, it was always her dream to make sure that we were in a stable environment, and she feared that we would be repatriated and ultimately, unfortunately, meet our demise. So she applied for resettlement through the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. And that application process took about 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a rigorous vetting process. You go through a lot of interviews with Department of Homeland Security officials. You go through security screenings. It's a rigorous process. And, in the 5-year kind of application process, she fell ill and passed away. And she was always concerned that, she didn't know what would happen to us if that happened. And we're very lucky that we had a team of people who cared about our future, and we've really invested in making sure that something positive came out of such a tragic experience. And so when she passed, our caseworker visited us, which is not usual. Usually
Mm.
when that happens, kind of
Mhm.
leave you to the system, right? But
Mhm.
they were really
Mhm.
touched by our story and visited us and let us know that, your mom has passed, but we want you to try and apply for resettlement and see what happens because, it's out of their hands. It's now when we go through this application process, it's between us and the official who sits before us and whether or not they believe we will be contributing members of this community when we resettle. And so we went to the interview and we spoke to the officer. And at the end of the interview, he said, I'm really inspired by your story, despite the fact that you just lost your mom. I think it was less than 6 months. And he was really excited for us and said, the U.S. will benefit by having you guys here.
Mhm.
And he ended up approving our application, and we came here at March 31st of 2015. And we were embraced by this community. We were welcomed as unaccompanied minors, no parents, scared of like what's to come.
Yeah.
The community really rallied around us and helped us figure things out. Northside Learning Center was honestly just helped us, with schooling, figuring out schooling, support services, and yeah, we just had a great tribe of people who cared for our futures and really wanted us to succeed. And it is that collective, powerful collective action that made me realize that it matters when people stand up in their respective communities and give back. especially when they're marginalized folks who need that support. So my work is, lies at the intersection of just like advocacy, empowerment, and helping people thrive.
Mm. How many siblings did you have, and where were you in the order of those siblings?
I have an older sister, and then me, my brother, and my youngest sister. So these four of us, and my older sister has a son now, and he's 10. So he's like the physical manifestation of how long we've been here. Every year he grows
Yeah.
is a reminder, like, oh wow, we've been here this long. So
Yeah.
it's great.
What eh, and thank you for sharing that part of your, this part of your journey that's kinda shaped you. Um, 4 siblings here in this community that warmly embraced and welcomed you and your siblings. How did what was it that helped you as a family unit build that resiliency? I mean, because you were still technically kids, right? And I know, thank goodness, there were other people who embraced you and loved you, but there had to be something internal that mom must have sewed in.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So my mom, I think, just had so much forethought about, the future, and she would just worry a lot. And growing up, she would always, take me with her every time she would, go out to seek support. She would often tell me, like, these are the people to reach out to if something happened to me, or this is, the community member I go to when I have a question. And just being around her helped me develop like advocacy, because she would advocate for herself. No was never an option for her, and if there was a no, she would always try to figure out an alternative pathway. So she was just very creative, and I think I kind of like developed those skill sets seeing her, um, you know, yeah, seeing her live. I will be honest though, growing up, I always felt burdened by that,
Mm,
because
yeah,
it just felt so unfair. Everybody around me got to, experience childhood,
yeah.
right? They got to be children, and that just wasn't an option for me, and I resented that.
Mhm.
Um, but in hindsight, like, I really appreciate it now, because if it wasn't for that, I don't know where we would be. I don't think I would have known, like, hey, this is who to reach out to, or this is, the application process, or if no is an option, these are the alternative options to explore. Like, these are like hard skills that you don't learn passively. It's through
Mm,
active learning. And now I appreciate her and all her sacrifices, but back then, when you're a child,
good job.
it doesn't click.
And you how old were you?
I started going to like interviews with immigration lawyers from like the age of 6. The moment I could read, I, would read all of the letters we'd receive. The day I learned how to write, I was writing letters. But I was with her from the age of 6 up until she passed away when I was 17.
So at 6 years old, you started learning how to be an advocate. At 6.
At 6.
And at 17, you became a full-on advocate for your family. I think I met one of your younger sister
Older.
older sister.
Yeah.
I met your older sister. Um, I think it was at the leadership
Mhm.
classroom dinner, and, you were being recognized for your advocacy, right? Um, but you were really being recognized for your power and resilience and your unselfishness. Um, and I looked at your sister as people were talking about you, and she was full. She was so full of pride. I could only imagine your mother was also smiling, saying, "Look what I did." How do you help? And I know you do a lot of this work today in terms of trying to create belonging and to create a space where um, another young advocate can figure out how to survive through this process. What do you tell them? How do you help guide and nurture them to know you're going to be okay?
I tell them it's gonna be a long, bumpy road, but, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Um, I always reflect back to my own experiences when, I step into any, advocacy role because I understand that a lot of who I am is shaped by my own lived experiences, and so I use them as a catalyst, um to really strengthen, the resolve of those around me because
Mm,
I went through it. I understand how hard it is to survive. I understand how hard it is to look for, silver lining when everything feels so bleak.
mhm.
But I also know that I'm not alone. I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
I had a team of people, I had a community of people ready to help, steward me, even in those moments of darkness. And so I always remind folks that you're not alone. You do have agency, right?
Mhm.
Like it's so important to always empower people to tap into their own strength and resolve. Um, to tackle the challenges that they experience. Because once you do that, you allow them the opportunity to develop tenacity and resiliency, and to be also champions of their own like destiny.
Mm,
Right? It's not. Yes, we're there to steward and support and assist, but at the end of the day, they are the ones who need to take charge of their own lives and sort of path carve that path forward. So I always remind people that if it seems bleak right now, but I promise it'll get better in time. Faith has kept me grounded always. My
mhm,
mom was really religious. Would take us to the mosque to
mhm.
pray. She had such a strong connection with God that um,
Mm,
I see that kind of remnants of that, instilled in us and continued, through us as well. Like
mhm,
our connection with God first started because she had that strong connection. And so I always, for folks who do believe, right,
mhm,
because we all come
mhm,
from different faith backgrounds, and whether you believe or not, I always tell people like rely on your God. Right.
yeah,
Faith is so important in helping people navigate situations where in reality it's bleak. But
mm,
when you have hope, you look forward to something and you believe that there is, you know, a there's a lesson behind all these things.
mhm, mhm,
And it may not make itself evident now, but down the road, those lines
mm,
will connect and the bigger picture will appear. And I say that for myself, who at the time when my mom would take me with her, like it didn't make sense to me, but when she passed, it was like, whoa, light bulb. So yeah, it's just like a conflation of all those things, just empowering people to be their own agents, encouraging them to, lean into their faith, and also working with them to find solutions to these
to
issues.
these issues. And when we think about helping people find agency in their own lives, we think about this community that has done wonderful and beautiful things. But if I gave you a magic wand and I said, Hasina, wave that magic wand and create community or perfect, or in the words of Dr. King, a beloved community, what would you do? What would you want to do see more of, less of, or not at all?
More of would be um greater investment in impoverished communities.
Mhm.
Living in certain parts, of this city, the north side in particular, because I live there, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
The infrastructure is so dilapidated, and when you live in a neighborhood where things are so just bleak, that feeds into your reality, right? Um, so I would want great investment in like housing and the roads, um, n- to help folks feel pride about the place that they live, to give them dignity.
Mhm.
Um, I would also, invest in like education. I am where I am because my mom pushed us to
Mhm.
pursue our
Mhm.
education, and it's so important that kids are given that opportunity, because it helps them expand their horizons. It allows them to know that, with this pursuit, something better is coming in the future. And then you can use those, your skill sets to support your community, uplift your community, and help really empower those around you. Um, Also, provide quality jobs for folks to earn an honest living, but also be able to use that money to support their families and reinvest in their communities. Um, in terms of seeing less of, um, crime, honestly, when we used to live on the north side, you know, there was a point where there was a shooting outside our house, and we had to duck down because we are so scared that a bullet might, you know, pierce through the walls and take one of us out. So I know that, SPD, law enforcement are doing the best they can with limited resources, in terms of, like, manpower. We
Mhm.
always
Mhm.
hear, like,
Mhm.
recruitment is hard, so, really appreciate the work that they're doing. Sorry, what was the last one?
More of, less of, or not at all?
Not at all. Um, that's a hard one, I don't know.
We'll come back to that because
Yeah.
I think I think we're gonna hear an answer, but, um, you know, your work now in the legislature as the clerk is a powerful role, um, and I think I've also heard and seen you talk about using everything at all of your life experiences to do good, right? How might you use where you are now to help change or strengthen community?
Um, I I try to, at least in my own personal capacity, because, my role is apolitical. I
Hmm.
serve the full legislative body. But when a question arises about supporting the New American community, immigrants, that's where I lend my expertise, because that's my background. This is what I know. This is what I've lived. And these are also the folks that I support and advocate for. So when there's a question about that, I provide guidance and recommendations. But I think grassroots level, when talking to folks in the community, I share with them my journey and where I am and how important it is to be civically involved,
Hmm.
right? Like, that's when you're engaged in the political system, you're then able to amplify your voice with those who have the power to impact you in real tangible ways. So I push for our community to go out and vote, to invite elected officials and talk to them about the issues that they're experiencing, about solutions that they've been exploring, and how they can work collaboratively to ameliorate those issues affecting the community. We recently hosted, I sit, as president of the New American Forum, and we recently hosted a leadership forum with Mayor Owens and Chief of Police, Mark Russin, and we talked about the issues affecting our community in relation to public safety, and immigration enforcement, which is a huge topic right now. And
Sure.
we came up with solutions at that meeting. And so when I engaged folks in our community in like the political process and allow them to be agents of change and to ask folks who have the power to um, meaningfully impact their lives, I see how that empowers them, inspires them to be more involved, and then also go out and do the same with those around them. So I don't, my role right now, like being in government has shown me how important it is to work on the ground to inspire folks to get out there and educate themselves about voting process, how to be an engaged citizen and be more proactive in tapping into existing resources. So
Hassina Adam, you are a powerhouse
thank you. I
with a
try.
soul that's paved in gold. You are doing things to help each one of us in ways that you, my friend, don't know yet.
Mm.
But I promise you, you are touching and changing lives. Thank you. Thank you. And I encourage you, keep elevating your voice, keep being that advocate, keep being that great and wonderful human being. We need more people in this world just like you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Hasina Adams, thank you. And thank
My
you for
pleasure.
being guest number one.
Thank you. It's such an honor. Yeah.
It's more of an honor to sit with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
My name is Elaine Jacobs. I'm from Central New York all my life.
I'm Steve Jacobs. I moved up here in 1980 to buy a business, and I met Elaine, and we've been married 21 years, and that's going to keep me here. A lot of business people, when they sell their business, they don't consciously think of where the wealth came from. And in my case, when I did sell my business, I realized, and I'm hoping other people realize, that they garnered the wealth from this community. That's one of the main reasons that I felt it was important to give back. The Community Foundation, we have confidence that there'll be people, as there are today, to properly steward our funds.
It feels good to look out and know that your money is making a difference in our community.
Welcome back. I am so excited to introduce this next segment that we call PS, the next chapter. And this chapter spotlights a series within our podcast that's featuring young leaders from across Central New York who are creating and living in the embodiment of change right here in our backyard. They're creating change through generosity, service, and action. Each conversation offers a glimpse into the passion and purpose driving the next generation of change makers in our community. Our first guest is an amazing young woman, and her name is Neve Murphy. Take a look. Well, how are you, Neve Murphy?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for spending some time just to talk to me about you. When um we pull this segment together is really about capturing the voices of inspirational young people doing inspirational things. And you're one of those people. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I certainly appreciate it. But Neve, what one of the things that I would love everybody to know about who you are, and a couple of things that I've read about and know about you, is that you lead from both your heart, but you also tie that to action. Before we get into all of this really cool and amazing work that you've done, can you tell me who you are just when you're being you?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for reaching out and giving me this opportunity. But a little about myself is that I love spending time with family and friends. Those, yeah, I just love being around everyone. And I also love sports, especially soccer and lacrosse. Those are the main sports I focus on. I'm very competitive, so I love playing and everything about that. And outside of sports, I my favorite season is summer, so every summer we spend the most time at the lake in Skaneateles, and I love surfing, so I love to be out on the water any chance I can. And my family from Georgia comes, so I spend the most time I can with them, which I love.
Oh, like that's fantastic. And you just named a couple of my favorite things. I love soccer. Both of my children played soccer. Um, I love Skinny Atlas Lake. But the most important thing is I love my family and friends.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't get any better than that. So
Mhm.
thank you for sharing that. A part of what I loved about your story is your the moment that you got connected with Tilly's touch. Um, and it really began with one simple moment, noticing a child sitting alone. What was it about that moment that made you feel like, man, I really want to do something?
Yeah, so about 2 summers ago, I was at a soccer tournament with my team. We had a thunderstorm delay, so we were all inside, and me and a couple of my teammates saw a little boy sitting on the bench alone, so we decided to go sit next to him and talk to him. And then when we were talking, we realized he couldn't speak English very well. So a bunch of his teammates started coming over too, and they were all talking, dancing, laughing, joking around and everything. And then their coach came, which I later learned he was the director of Tilly's Touch, Dale Johnson. And they told us that he recently had came to Syracuse from Sudan as a refugee, and he couldn't understand what we were saying. We didn't know that because he was just like laughing. He like wasn't rude or anything. He was just so happy. And I just thought it was really cool that even though he couldn't understand us, he was just having such a fun time and everyone was just playing soccer, having fun, dancing, joking around.
What you just showed the world is that a simple act of kindness is transformative, right? So by you just having that small interaction really helped you kind of frame what it means to have good intentions and then act on it. But not everyone does that, but you did. Um, what kept pulling you back to Tilly's touch after camp ended?
Well, the first time I went to camp, well, I really in the first I wanted to go because my mom I'd known a little bit about it because I've seen their teams at local games or tournaments, but I didn't know that much about it. My mom, though, worked with them, so that she told me a bunch about Dale and what he does for them and how they kind of like coo how they kind of run. So I was really interested by that. So when I first went, I walked in and everyone was already playing soccer. They were all like had their own games set up, laughing, and they were all over the place. And I went at first with a bunch of my friends, so it was really fun because we were all playing together. We were scrimmaging, but also helping them. There was some reading that we did with them. And my friends were busy the next few days, so they didn't end up coming back, but I knew I wanted to keep coming back because it was such a different experience. It was such a different environment that I hadn't experienced before. I hadn't been in a neighborhood with high rates of poverty because I was used to the suburbs, and I just thought it was really cool to experience that diversity. And
Mm,
even though there were so many different, like, backgrounds and cultures there, but everyone got along, and the only thing that mattered was playing soccer.
the only thing that mattered was playing soccer. So to me, it's about um, what you just outlined. It was finding commonality, right? And all that mattered is that all of you connected around something common. And many adults are still trying to figure out how to do that. So, props to you for doing that.
One of my messages is that you need to be able to realize that it doesn't matter your background, where you come from, your culture. It's just really about who you are. It doesn't matter, like, your outsides, it's just how you are as a person. And that little acts of kindness can go a long way. Even if you think it's not the biggest deal, it could really, like, change someone's day.
You're amazing. You're
Yeah.
amazing. You are so amazing. You tutor, you coach, you encourage, you organize, you serve, and you do it in a way that you seem so grounded and steady. Um, where do you think that sense of responsibility and compassion comes from in you?
I have a lot of high expectations for myself, so that kinda motivates me to do well so I can succeed and accomplish my goals. In school, I get a lot of work, but I whenever I have a question or don't understand things, I make sure to get help from a teacher either during school or after school. I also have a lot of sports and a busy schedule, so I know if I have a practice, I'd wanna get my work done before. And I've learned a lot of time management skills from doing sports because with a busy schedule, I know I have to get stuff done. So, yeah, and also, my parents also give me a lot of support, and they help me stay focused and balance everything.
It's nothing like parents keeping you steady, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
In the last minute, um, that we have, you already have such a clear sense of service. You also have big, big dreams for your future in business, finance, and commercial real estate. All right. I love it. What kind of impact do you hope to make on the world as you grow into your dreams?
Yeah, that's what I wanna do right now. I'm still 16, so I'm not sure. It could always change. But I know that no matter what my career ends up being or what my future looks like, I always wanna stay connected to organizations such as Tilly's Touch or similar, and always be able to give back and help out whenever I can. I also want to help people realize that they can make a difference too, no matter who you are.
Well, Neve Murphy, thank you for being the light in this world that we need. We know you're going to do some amazing things to keep growing the hearts of people you connect with. Um,
Yeah.
so thankful and grateful for this time I had with you today. Um, keep shining, keep shining. Great things are going to happen for you and around you because of you. Thank you, Neve Murphy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
At any time. If you would like to nominate someone to be featured in our PS The Next Chapter segment, scan the QR code on the screen or visit cnycf.org/podcast. We like to close each section or each podcast with some thoughts. And the first I'd like to leave you with is, listening to Hassina Adams' story. It doesn't matter the age that you are to make an impact. Hassina talked to us about learning advocacy at the tender age of 6 years old. And so the power of change can start at any age. The power of advocacy, community, resiliency can start at any age. So don't be afraid, be courageous, and always remember that even when it's dark, the sun always rises. And be ready, for the sun always rising. In Central New York, you make me proud. You make me proud that we embrace and share the sense of community and welcome everyone, and that we embrace our neighbors from across the globe to say, you are family and you are home. So audience, continue the notion that kindness surpasses it all. Kindness and love should walk hand in hand, arm in arm, because together we are stronger. We are stronger in the words of philanthropy, or in the meaning of philanthropy, to give to one another. So please continue to do that. Please continue to lift and hear these stories of resilience. Take this conversation, stay curious, stay connected, and help what comes next. And before I close, I need to share my bit of gratitude. My gratitude to this team that I am fortunate to work alongside every day. To Dana, Corey, Katrina, Jasha, and to our community partner, Anna Gill. The Community Foundation is your foundation. We are here for this community, have almost been here 100 years. We stand ready with you. We are here to make Central New York the best place to live, best place to work, and the best place to call home. Thank you.